Welcome to my November reading wrap-up. Sorry this is late. The holidays ended up taking more time than I thought they would, so I ended up not having time to film. But whatever. It's here now. Let's go over the books I read in November. And we're going to be doing this from the worst book I read for the month, and then go through them one by one until I get to my favorite book I read during this month. So, yeah. And I am cheating a little bit because I am including the 2 reads that I finished at the beginning of December. Because if I'm gonna have a late video, why not include all of the books I finished? Why not? Starting with my least favorite book of the month, the worst book I read this month, which is the 7th book in the Zodiac Academy series, Heartless Skies. Now, I was really sad about this because I had actually been really enjoying Zodiac Academy. Like, Zodiac Academy had been, like, so much fun. And I was expecting to hate it because the writing is subpar, but honestly, the ways that the writing was subpar is stuff that with more writing could improve, at least theoretically, right? And I am a big believer that you can be a good storyteller without being a good writer, and books that are good stories without being well written still deserve to be told. However, this book was such a major road bump in the rest of the series that I don't know if it's worth continuing on. Now, there is a small chance I will. A very minuscule chance, honestly, because I really want to DNF the series. But we'll see if my curiosity ends up getting the better of me eventually. But beside the point. I don't know if I should include a spoiler section, because I really want to talk about the things that were awful in this book, but I don't want to get it like spoilery. So I'm gonna leave it without getting into specifics. The characters in this one were just really childish. This book was like 80% filler. Like, I was reading about stuff that was happening off page that was way cooler than what was on page. And some of the jokes that were kind of cringe in the previous books, but like, you know, it fit the vibes, were just overblown, like, over the top bad in this book, which was really sad. There is an entire moment in this book where I'm like, this should have been its own book. Like, this moment right here, and instead I got a 2-page summary of what had happened off page of it instead. So, you know, it was stuff like that I think is the reason I'll DNF the series. But I don't know, if you think I should keep going, if the books get better after book 7, let me know in the comments. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so the next book on this list, it's actually significantly better than Zodiac Academy was. But it is second on this list just because the other books I read this month were better. But it's going to be Light from Uncommon Stars. Now, this one, I had an idea of what the book was going to be going in from the synopsis I have heard before. And I'll tell you guys the synopsis that I had heard before. That it is a book about this lady who has a contract with a demon. And her contract is that she will bring the demon the 7 best violinists. I think they're all violinists anyway. They're at least the 9 or 7 greatest musicians, and she will give him their souls, and then in exchange she will get her soul back because like her music I guess was taken from the world, and as like a deal she made with this demon years ago, and she just wants to be the ability to play music again. So that's the whole exchange. Now, when I go into this book, instead, it was actually really wholesome. Was not expecting it to be as wholesome as it was, because the 7th student of this teacher is this trans woman who had run away from her home and was living in a not very ideal situation, who had no training to be a violinist previously. It's just all self-taught. But the teacher was so, like, enamored is not the right word because it wasn't like a love thing. It was like maybe more like a familial sort of love thing, you know. But she loved this girl, and you can tell where it goes from there. And it's not really a spoiler because you can tell from the beginning. The thing that caught me off guard, and you skip ahead if you don't want to hear anything and you want to be caught off guard too, but there's a whole alien plotline. Yeah, these aliens, they're running a donut shop, and the violin lady ends up becoming besties with the lead alien from this donut shop. And their relationship is cute, and it was interesting. I love seeing the emotional dynamics, but man, was the alien storyline random and didn't really fit in with the rest of the story. And at times, I kind of wish it just focused on the violin aspects and not this random donut shop alien aspect. Like, they could have been two different books, to be honest. But I digress. I still recommend this book. It was fun. And yeah, moving on. Okay, next book is the buddy read I did with my friend Adia this month, which was Interview with a Vampire. Now, Interview with a Vampire is one of Adia's favorite series, and she really wanted me to read it, and her guess, though, what I was going to give the first book was correct, because it did end up getting 3 stars. And look, I had a lot of high hopes going into this series. But it quickly just, the crux of this book is that for a vampire book, it was boring, which kind of sucked, but sucked, you get it. This is about a man named Louis, and he is a plantation owner in Louisiana, like around New Orleans, and he meets a vampire named Lestat, and the vampire turns him into a vampire, and then you spend the rest of the pages with him grappling with his immortality and how melancholy he is, or is it melancholy, that's what it's called. And how, and all of his regrets, and like some of the stuff he was waxing poetic about, like, yeah, there is interesting thoughts mixed in there. But man, when you read that same interesting thought the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time, it starts to get a little old. And again, like I said, overall, it was just weird at some points. I'm not even gonna get into like the pedophilia aspects of it, because that was just weird. And that's why, however, it is, like, I like the writing better and the storytelling better than Light from Uncommon Stars, because it didn't have any elements that, like, should have been 2 separate books. It was just, slow. It was just incredibly slow. Okay, next book is the buddy read I did with my friend Adia this month, which was Interview with a Vampire. Now, Interview with a Vampire is one of Adia's favorite series, and she really wanted me to read it, and her guess, though, what I was going to give the first book was correct, because it did end up getting 3 stars. And look, I had a lot of high hopes going into this series. But it quickly just, the crux of this book is that for a vampire book, it was boring, which kind of sucked, but sucked, you get it. This is about a man named Louis, and he is a plantation owner in Louisiana, like around New Orleans, and he meets a vampire named Lestat, and the vampire turns him into a vampire, and then you spend the rest of the pages with him grappling with his immortality and how melancholy he is, or is it melancholy, that's what it's called. And how, and all of his regrets, and like some of the stuff he was waxing poetic about, like, yeah, there is interesting thoughts mixed in there. But man, when you read that same interesting thought the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time, it starts to get a little old. And again, like I said, overall, it was just weird at some points. I'm not even gonna get into like the pedophilia aspects of it, because that was just weird. And that's why, however, it is, like, I like the writing better and the storytelling better than Light from Uncommon Stars, because it didn't have any elements that, like, should have been 2 separate books. It was just, slow. It was just incredibly slow. Okay, next up is, this is one of the titles I'm cheating by putting on here. It's The Rose Bargain. And this one, I actually didn't have very high expectations for at all, because I have kind of put my expectations for romantasy books on the floor, but I really enjoyed this one. This one was really cute. The way it was explained to me is if Bridgerton met Faye, and that description is perfect. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about this book. But basically, the main character, she is going into her season coming out as a lady, and in this world, all of the women, they get to make a deal with the fairy queen, and it's always stuff like her mom's deal was that her mom can remember everything ever, and it cost her pinky finger, and stuff like that. And like, there's a different character where she I think it was like she lost, like she gave up allergies, but and as like a thing that she had to give up, or like a punishment or whatever, a payment. That's the word I'm looking for. A payment for that deal being struck is she can no longer turn left. So she ends up like doing stuff like spinning in complete circles trying to turn left. Ridiculous stuff like that, but it was fun. Like, I liked the main character. While it was predictable, the romance was cute. It did get spicy, which I wasn't expecting, because I thought this book was YA. And maybe it is YA, because like the spice, it was very like not full. It wasn't a closed door scene, but it was kind of vague in its descriptions. So, but it was still fun. Like, I enjoyed it. Alright, we're on the second to last one on the list now. Little Eve. This one has been on my radar for a little bit because I like stories about cults. That's literally it. That's why I'm writing a book that has a cult in it. And so I like to read the books about cults as like other resources for like to see how they did it. I hope you can't hear the sound of my neighbor upstairs water running, but it's a crappy apartment. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is following this cult where this man who just calls himself Uncle, and everyone calls him Uncle, but he has this snake, and he believes that the world snake that's in a lot of religions, and also the snake that was part of Adam and Eve, he worships that snake, and he believes it's going to come out of the ocean and like kill everyone in the world except for the people of this cult. He has these children that he has raised from babies to believe in this. And one of them is Eve, also known as Little Eve. And you find out at the start of the book that she is, has said to have been the person that murders everyone in the cult on one fateful evening. And, this story is a ride. Like, you have to like trust the process. And some of the stuff, like some of the plot twist I did catch early on, I will say. But that's not really a negative thing anymore, because I feel like plot twists are easy to predict now. It's hard to write a plot twist that's going to take your audience by surprise. So I don't ding it for being able to predict it. But I feel like the way that it went about it was fantastic. And I feel people that aren't as in tune with reading probably might not necessarily be able to pick up on these clues. But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was this fun, like, gothic, like, Irish vibe. Like, it kind of took place in this, like, gothic castle. And seeing the thought process of the main character as you go through it, because it kind of bounces between the two timelines of the current day and the character growing up. And that's the furthest I'm going to go, because I don't want to spoil too much. But definitely recommend. I don't know if this counts as a horror or a thriller or what, but I recommend it. My favorite read of the month, and this one's great because it's one of the physical books I read this month, and that is The Wild Huntress. I love The Wild Huntress. Like, this book was so good. I was enraptured by this fantasy world, which is very, like, Celtic based, by the way. The Fae are really close to classic Fae. There is a love triangle isn't the right way to put it, because it's not a love triangle. It's not a real one. So, like, if you hate love triangles, like, you can still go around this, because the romance in this is very vague, very subplot. There's basically an event called the Wild Hunt, and those that join the Wild Hunt, they, if they win, they get a wish granted from the other folk king, and the twists and turns this takes is fantastic. This book made me want to read the rest of the books by this author right here. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can. Oh, the lights are matching perfectly. Highly recommend. This was 5 stars. best book of November. Okay, before we move on, I do want to give an honorable mention, because we're going to be talking about my December reads, my short little plan for December. But I want to talk about another book I finished that doesn't deserve to be in the same classifications as the others for two reasons. One, it's not a book I rate because it's you'll see. And then two, it's also a book that I was reading as part of my personal curriculum, which means the first class out of like the several small classes I'm taking that I'm taking from myself is over, because I finished The Psychic Witch. This book I had actually been trying to read for so long, and doing personal curriculums is what finally got me to sit down and actually go through it and like taking notes on it and like going through it like a scholar would, because I do take my pursuit of knowledge with my personal witchcraft very seriously, and it's something I will forever be a student of. So I love to include at least one class from my personal curriculum focused on that, so I can continue to learn and grow. And I was so glad to be able to do it with this. My article about this, and that it's like my final project for it, will be out at some point this week. It's mostly just gonna be my thoughts, what I learned, and I will be talking about the one, like, it won't be a real project because I'm not going to post it anywhere, but I'm going to follow the spell work that was described in this, like the author's personal spell setup, and I want to see what happens following his kind of setup with my own like twist, obviously, on the spell, because it's my own spell. It's not a spell that's in here, but I want to give it a try. So yeah, there's the mini personal curriculum update in here. I will make a whole video about that. It'll either be at the end of December or the beginning of January. It depends on how my filming ends up going, but I will talk about my first quarter of personal curriculum once everything is done and over with. Alright, my December reads. I'm taking it very slow because, first off, it's already, when I'm filming this, December 9th. So it's like slowly approaching the halfway point of December. So I don't want to load my thing full of books I want to read, because I'm not going to get to them with how fast I've been reading. That being said, currently I am reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab on my Kindle. I am about like 20% through, and I'm liking it. You know, there are like some things here and there that are like getting on my nerves a little bit, like the jumping timeline things getting a little annoying, but I'll survive. I'm still really enjoying the story overall. Like, I didn't realize this book was going to be so dark academia, and I've actually been reading so much dark academia because I've been just fascinated and enjoying overall all the books that have come from like that sort of realm. So I've been really enjoying this one more than I thought I would. It's like they're basically figuring out how to create superheroes, which they're calling extraordinaries, and that's all I'm gonna say. Moving on. Alright, following my next buddy read with my friend Adia. It'll be a reread for me, but I've been wanting to reread. There's a story behind my need to reread this series, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's going to be From Blood and Ash. I read this book, I think it was last year, and absolutely loved it. But I tried to read the second book, and I was not feeling it. I don't know if you could have heard in the background of that video, but my pizza's ready. I'm not going to eat it on camera, but I'm bringing it in here so I can keep an eye on it, just so my cats don't get tempted to try to eat it. Anyway, as I was saying, From Blood and Ash, gave it 5 stars, but I DNF'd the second book like almost like right away. I was not feeling it, but I think it's because I waited. I think it was so long in between this book and the second book. Like, I said I finished that last year, but I think it was actually the year before last year. But, or maybe it was I think it was at the end of the year last December, and then it was like several months, like 6-7 months until I got the next book through the library, because I kept on getting it and then returning it because I had no time for it. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be rereading this first book and reminding myself why I loved it, And then I'm going to be listening to the rest of them as audiobooks, because then I'll actually get to them. So, yeah. And then for those of you that are curious, this book is about this girl named Poppy, and she is basically this, like, religious figure known as the Maiden in this society. And she's important for some big ritual, and she has to keep her virginity or whatever. But then one day, one of her guards is attacked and killed, and he gets replaced with a new guard, and the new guard is extremely hot. Yeah. Need I say more? I really enjoyed the first book, but like I said, the second book, the vibes were just off, so I gotta give it a retry. The final book that's legitimately, I said that word wrong, I'm sorry, on my list to read this December is King of Sorrow by Joe Hill. That one's, it's sitting on my library holds right now, but as soon as I'm like in the process of reading this one, I will take it off the hold list, and I will get it hopefully within the next like week or two. And then I don't have high hopes that I will finish it before December and have time to read another one, but if I do, I will be reading The Secret History by Donna Tartt. If not, that might be one of the books that are getting shoved to January, because that's just how things have been going in my reading life lately. It's not so much a reading slump, but like it was a kind of a reading slump back in like August, September, a little bit in October, but I finally am getting over the slump again, so I'm hoping it'll start picking up from here, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I wish you all the best reading month in December. You know, final push. I'm going to be doing a lot of wrap-up content this month. Like I already mentioned, my personal curriculum. I'll be doing a bunch of, like, my favorite releases of 2025, that kind of stuff. Watch my TikTok, watch my Instagram. There's going to be more short-form wrap-up kind of stuff, too. And, yeah, I will see you guys in the next videos. Love you guys. Goodbye.